Here's a comedy-centric moment.
It's amazing how much insane talent came out of Boston, comedy talent, in that period of time. I mean, you could for an hour just read down the list. Now, you worked the clubs there, or did you come right to New York afterwards?
I was in a comedy group in college called the Emerson Comedy Workshop. And, all of our friends, Dennis Leary and Mario Cantone and Laura Keitlinger and on and on. And before us, it was Andrea Martin and, that ilk. And then after us, it was Jennifer Coolidge and, Bill Burr. And I mean, it's just years and years. Jay Leno went to Emerson. Bill Dana went to Emerson. But Norman Lear had gone to Emerson. And I met him a year after we had started our comedy group. And it was wildly successful. And I said, we have so many graduates and we'd really like to, interact with some of them. The head writer of Saturday Night Live at the time was, an Emerson graduate. And Norman Lear.
Who was that? Who was
Marilyn Suzanne Miller.
Okay.
So she was in. And then, a lot of people like Jerry Paris and, from the Dick Van Dyke Show. And
sure, yeah.
So I talked to Norman Lear and said, look, we have this great group, and he put money up and the school matched it and formed a comedy writing department that lasts still this day. As a matter of fact, you can graduate for a degree in humor at Emerson now.
There was go ahead, Kath.
I'm sorry. Did you go there for that reason, or did you find that as you were there?
It happened first week in college. You met funny people. Stephen Wright had gone to Emerson, I mean, all of us were Lauren Dombrowski, who ended up, being the executive producer of Mad TV and head writer over there. We were all friends. We were all kids together.
But did you go there with that in mind to try to get into that business, or did you just go and that was what it was?
Yeah, I went for broadcast journalism or, radio or television. And I did it, but I like the comedy the mostest.
There was a contingent of people that came out of Yale too. It just seemed like that area was so fertile.
These Dick Cavett went to Yale, and he talks about all the people that went there. But it was very interesting, and it was very fun, and we were able to, I started a children's program in improv and sketch, and then I started doing some stand-up improv and sketch at Emerson in the summer for a children's program. So we really developed this whole thing back in 1977, 78, something like that. And then I started doing some stand-up in Boston. We came down to New York a couple of times to visit my father and get on stage a little bit, but it didn't really rock for me. And I got a job in advertising, lying for a living. And I did that for a couple of years, and then I remembered how much more fun I had telling the truth for a living. So and at the same time, the comedy club was offered to me by a guy I went to college with, the Paper Moon, to start comedy there. And, I brought all my friends, I just met Colin Quinn and Susie Essman and Mario Cantone, and all of us, we all were kids together, and I'd bring in comics from Boston and comics from San Francisco and LA and Chicago, the ones that weren't working comic strip or weren't, they weren't in the clique at Catch a Rising Star. So I brought these Jake Johansson and Paula Poundstone and Bobcat Goldthwait and all these people from back in the day.